All right, so next one, this is a very unique thing I wanted to chat with you about, and this has something to do with your videos as well. Also, as an extension of you being a very prominent figure on CMT in the '90s, which is, by the way, how I was introduced to Ricky Lynn Gregg as a high school level or high school aged kid at the time. That's how I found out who Ricky Lynn Gregg was through his CMT exposure. And then, of course, I started listening and picked up the singles, and which, by the way, try to find a country music single in Massachusetts in the mid '90s.
My God, impossible then,
That
right?
shit wasn't happening, Ricky.
That's right.
Like, you know what I had to do? I had to go to the record stores and ask them to order them,
Wow.
and then I had to
Because they
pay
didn't make
down
them.
50%.
Really, did
Mm-hmm.
you?
Yeah,
Just
so
to entrust that you get.
yeah, so that's how I got your stuff and Daryl's stuff and Radney Foster and
Yeah.
Foster and Lloyd and
Wow.
McBride and the Ride and all those guys from
Oh
the
yeah.
'90s.
Fabulous people.
Because
Terry McBride's great.
we had one radio station up there which would play that stuff every once in a while, and I just gravitated to what I didn't know at the time was
Yeah.
Texas music. It was Texas music.
It's Texas, baby.
Like everybody I just named is from Texas, and those are the
Yeah.
guys that I gravitated towards as a kid. Crazy.
That's and you're in Massachusetts.
Yeah, and here I am in Texas, and I'm interviewing these people now. I've talked to everybody I just mentioned, which is pretty dope.
That is.
But anyway, I wanted to talk about you kind of being a trailblazer, not just with the CMT and the videos, which,
Right.
let's be honest, at the time was more successful for a female artist. I will say
Mm-hmm.
that. It's just a fact. Females were
Kind of.
getting more notice on those types of platforms at the time. It
Right.
wasn't just country either. It was just the music video age, so to speak,
Yeah.
the advent of the music video. So I
Right.
felt you breaking through that was kind of a being a pioneer. But also, correct me if I'm wrong, you were also the first artist with a major label record deal to have a website.
Yeah. Bruce Ure, thank you very much, Bruce Ure at Multimedia. Um, he was way ahead of that stuff and brought it to my attention in 1995. He said, "Man, the future is websites." He created my website. All of Nashville kind of was like stunned about this new thing,
Rolling their eyes, I'm
websites.
sure.
Well, it was just something that it was hard to wrap your brain around. Uh, he started it the next year, 1996. Nashville was all about websites,
Mm-hmm.
and they paired me this big room website conversations with people all around the world, and they paired me up with Peter Frampton. So Peter Frampton and I got to answer questions together, and I gotta say, I stood my own.
Yeah,
Being Peter Frampton, which was a great thing because here I'm sitting next to like one of my heroes.
royalty. Yeah,
Oh my God, they don't get any better than Peter Frampton.
yeah. I just wanted to preempt this whole discussion with that because I wanted to ask you, as somebody who's a lifer in the music business, you started with 8-track and records and all of that stuff back then, reel to reel, right? And
Yeah, right. Real to
all of
real
that
first.
stuff
Yeah.
back then. And here we are today, where we're dealing with digital and social media, and I bet you I could name a lot of things that are happening right now that Ricky hasn't even heard of, like waterfall effect. Have you heard that
Oh
yet?
my, I have not.
So
Have
I'll
not.
explain to you what the waterfall effect is. So what artists are doing today, Ricky, is they are posting one single a month on
Mm,
the different audio platforms like Apple and not iTunes. iTunes is essentially Apple, but Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the places, and they'll do one of those a month,
mhm.
every month, and they call that the waterfalling.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
that's pretty awesome.
Where the idea for this podcast came from, and I'll tell you about that off
All
air.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, But anyway, yeah, that's something that artists are doing, which is kind of, as a listener, it's tough because I'm sure, like you, I grew up in an era when you listened to a record, each song connected to the next,
Right.
and they were put together with a certain flow in mind.
Right.
And that's
Exactly right.
very quickly eroding from the industry today because of waterfalling.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's wild, but that is a good idea for artists that are need to get their stuff out. But I'm not used to that, man. I'm
Yeah,
like you. I'm old school.
yeah. I don't dislike it. I think it's cool because it puts more pressure on artists to release content consistently,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
I'm sure financially too, because in the old days
it
we'd have to
is,
buy a
yeah,
whole
it is
record,
definitely easier.
$100,000.
Obviously, going into the studio for an afternoon
Yeah.
versus 3 weeks or whatever, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's. I just wanted to see like how you feel about how times have changed from when you started in the business to where you are now. Because I mean, essentially, you're a dinosaur in this business, and today you're looking at the things that are happening. Another thing you may not be aware about is how important playlists are today. Being added to the right playlist for an artist can literally change their life.
I believe that. I
Yeah.
believe that. Right.
And so that's a thing that's happening now too. Not just the age of virility and being viral and trending, and the age of the 4 second video and all of that. All
Right.
of those are important as well, and I hate that. But
Well, I like to bring up something.
yeah.
Back when I first signed with Liberty, we came out with this smoking country rock song, which the song was a favorite by everybody's in Nashville, producers and such. But the radio stations, now you can imagine this. You've seen those types of measurements machines that have a line down the middle. Anything below is too low.
Hmm.
Anything above is too much. And when our song came out, and let's say Steve Warner, "Small Town Girl," played right before our song, it was even on that line. And when the drums and fiddle went off on "Cheating Hard," it spiked. So a lot of guys didn't like that. Just didn't care about the song, didn't care about the artist. They wouldn't have us on their format because of that.
Wow.
Here was the second problem I had until they began to do uh, when someone plays a record, radio stations back in those days, they would have to take a pen and pencil and report it.
Hmm.
About a year and a half into my career, a country career, they changed it to satellite. So you could cheat if you wanted to, but there was two artists, myself and Tanya Tucker, on Liberty that we weren't getting rid of. So we could have probably had a bigger song had we had, back then they had like these conglomerations, and it was kind of a bunch of radio stations being controlled by one man. And that one man is appointed by
Yeah,
another
monopoly.
big man. Right,
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, we had things stacked up against us, but we burst through. And nowadays I sit and think about when, here's a good example, love her, not just nothing negative, but Cowboy Carter
Hmm.
came out, and I thought to myself as I got reactions, I'm sure I was got the same kind of reaction from people in country when I came out with hair down to my waist, rocking, baby. Now it's the norm.
Hmm.
But back then, man, we couldn't get on the Grand Ole Opry.
I love that.
You know,
That's a great comparison. It's true.
yeah,
You were different,
absolutely.
like 100% different. I hadn't
Right,
even thought of that, man. Like having long hair at that time.
right.
I
The
hadn't even thought
pioneer.
of that. Yeah, that's crazy. You were the first, weren't you?
Right, and I think
Um,
I was about the second or third that had dance tracks because
yeah.
country wasn't big out in California, but the dance clubs were.
So and
So
now if you really kind of put your thumbprint on it, look at the people that came directly after you, like Tim McGraw and Blake Shelton, and all of these
yeah,
cats had long hair.
exactly.
Joe
See, a
Nichols
lot of
had
people.
long hair when he first came
Right,
out.
right. A lot of those characters were talked into cutting their hair at first,
Hmm.
and then they'd regrow it. But Jimmy Bowen told me, he said, "I don't want you to change a thing." And we're going in just as you are. Another producer in Nashville wanted me to change my name. He was 100% up on what I was. He was a musician too, so he kind of
Hmm.
he felt my aura, felt my
Was that
soul.
because they wanted to own the name?
I don't think so. I think it was the best fit.
Okay. Because I know there are
The
some
best fit.
shady people out there that'll try to copyright a name. Um,
They sure will. They
yeah.
want you to change it so they own that.
Yeah.
They own the name,
Yep.
name, image, and likeness.
Yeah. Merch, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's just shitty people out there. All right, let's move on from that one.
Yeah,
What do you think about the DIY era and just like indie this and indie that, and pretty much any artist can get out there with any song. Like for example, I mean, I'm not an artist, but I could
right.
produce a track right here with
Yeah,
what less than 2,000 in equipment,
absolutely.
and it'll be on Spotify in the morning.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's wild, but I will tell you this: I love it. I adore it. At first, it was it was like, oh, they didn't pay their dues. That didn't last
Do
long
you
in my
think it's a
mind because
benefit though to artists because oversaturation's a bitch?
oversaturation is. But here is where I think it comes down to the listener. I
Yes.
think the listener knows quality.
Golly, you're
In
so
other words,
smart, man.
they don't. Some people make their songs in their basement, and it comes out sounding
It
like it's
takes
from
out the
their
middle
basement.
guy, doesn't it?
It takes out the middle guy. All you have to do is have X amount of money
Yeah.
to get
Because
going, and
before now, it was one or two people that was letting us hear artists, and that was the record label heads
yeah,
and the program directors at terrestrial radio.
those were the two.
And
That
if
was
they
it.
didn't like you, you're hitting the clubs, and that's it.
That's it. That's it. Fortunate for me, casinos were coming on,
Yeah,
and before my record came out, the Cheating Heart record, uh, Lamar Fike was in my life, and he was part of the Memphis Mafia.
yeah,
He was Elvis's number one guy, so he had a connection in Las Vegas and got us established in the casinos. So when my career began to like not have as great as shows, we got locked into the casino circuit, which paid good.
yeah. Plus,
And
you're Native American too, so that helps, right? Yeah,
well,
yeah,
I don't know that that really had made any difference after the first record. You know that
yeah. That's true.
I was just a human. Uh, I don't know if I've been a great singer, or
Did
great
they
guitarist,
push it
but
a lot at first, though?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that
You think
I
that's why
had
you
no
got to
idea.
keep your hair?
No, no.
No.
Well, I don't know. We'd have to ask Jimmy,
Yeah.
but